todos y bienvenidos al canal. Hello and welcome to the channel. Me llamo Nuria y soy tu profesora de español. I'm very excited for this video because this is the first ever request that I've got from any of you. This request that hasn't been done by social media, so yes. So here is today's video, how to speak like a native in Spanish, but you can also apply these to any other languages. I know that these tips works because this is how I learned to speak English, so let's go ahead. The number one key thing that you need to remember is that vocabulary is key. It's been said that native speakers use between 10,000 and 30,000 words in their repertoire. So learning vocabulary is the first step to speak like a native. You can go back to how to learn Spanish fast on my tips on how to learn vocabulary, but nowadays there's apps. You can use the method that I use to learn, which was taught to me by my teachers, so you can go ahead and check that one out. Knowing loads of vocabulary will not only help you develop speaking skills, but it will also help you understand conversations far quicker and easier. Number two is repetition. Repeating the words, it's key for you to learn how to pronounce them like a native person. At the end of the day, learning in life is like that. Children learn by repetition, hearing the same thing and then repeating it themselves, and they keep repeating and repeating and repeating until they get to know it. It sounds silly to repeat the words that you're learning, but it is really important. So the more you get used to repeating and mimicking words and rhythm by native speakers, the quicker you will speak like a native, you will sound like a native. Spanish people, we speak with sayings, and we have a saying for literally everything that you can think of. So learning some key and most used Spanish sayings, which I have videos for that as well in my channel, so go check it out. But repeating those sayings and learning those sayings and saying them will make you sound more like a native Spanish speaker, in particular in Spain, which is where I'm from. Disclaimer. Another very, 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 very important thing that you need to be aware of is the fear. Drop the fear. It does not matter if you make a mistake. That's how we learn. It's even better if you made a mistake than not making any improvement at all, right? A lot of people stop trying and stop even starting because they're afraid that they're going to sound silly. But the beautiful thing about Spanish language is that even if you get something wrong, even if you don't conjugate the verb right, even if your sentence is not in the right order because you don't know the order, you don't know the grammar yet, it does not matter because we understand what you're trying to say. And Spanish people love when people are trying. And if you go to a Spanish-speaking country, if the person knows English and they see you trying Spanish, they probably would want to use English because it's also practice for them. But be selfish and ask them to continue the conversation in Spanish because it will help you improve, and you want to improve. We love people trying to speak our language. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to make mistakes, because even if you do, we're still going to understand you, and you will lose the fear of talking and speaking, and that is the way forward. So ditch the fear, start living your life in that language. What I mean by this is listen to the radio, watch the TV, have it in the background, so that you are getting used to the rhythm of how Spanish is spoken, and you're getting used to how everything sounds, and you'll eventually pick that up, and it takes no effort at all. What I said that will help me a lot when I was starting to speak English was to find things that I really like listening to. I find songs or some shows that I really, really enjoyed. For example, with the songs, what I would do is download the songs and translate them. And I know this takes a long time, but eventually you'll get faster. It's only temporary, like everything. So if you put the effort in now, it will be so much better in the future than if you're not doing it. So you can either read books and note down whatever word you don't know within your book, so that you proofread again. But I like to do it with the songs because even if you're a bad singer like me, you can sing the words of that song and get used to how they sound, and eventually will sound like them. So I find this was actually the most enjoyable part of my learning, was to download the songs that I liked at that moment, translate them, know what they were saying, and then sing along with them. And they do work, like these work like crazy. Which is another one of my points, is to read out loud. By translating the songs and then singing along with them, you're actually combining two of the steps that saves you time, which is to read out loud. Read out loud text, whatever it is, to practice and get used to it. Use YouTube videos that have a follow along, either sentences or words, and keep repeating them until you get them perfectly. Remember, the practice is key here, and the more you practice, the better you'll get, like any skill in life. Another thing that you can do nowadays that back in the day wasn't available for me is to follow Spanish influencers. Follow them on Instagram if you do spend a lot of time on the platform, or TikTok. Get used to the informal language that is used on a day-to-day life. This will also help you listen and understand in a way that is interesting to you, because there's nothing more boring than doing something that does not interest you. So find a way in which you can make it interesting for you. Whether it's songs that you like, TV shows that you like, influencers that you like, whatever it is that floats your boat, you know. Another tip that I have for you is to practice speaking regularly. There are multiple ways in which you can do this, whether in person or online. So you can join a community. I'm probably sure that there are Spanish people where you live, and there will be a Spanish Facebook group of Spanish people living in whatever it is that you're leaving, and you can ask them to do an exchange. So you don't even have to spend any money. So the way these exchange work is, let's say you have an hour. So you would talk in your language for 30 minutes and then switch for 30 minutes in Spanish. It's a great way for you to practice, for them to practice, to meet new people, and it's free. Like, it's free. You can also find exchange in person in bars across the UK. Probably I know a few where I currently am, and it's a time that you can go have a beer and speak in Spanish and practice. You might have to pay a small fee, but I mean, for practicing is worth it. Also, you can hire a coach or a teacher, or you can join a speaking class. For example, I do have pupils that are only with me for conversation. You can also find groups online of about 3 to 5 people, so they all meet at the same time. You also pay a fee because it's at the end of the day a class with a Spanish person, and it's all a conversation with another 4 or 5 people that are like-minded like you, around the same level, in which you can start to have conversations in Spanish and practice as you go along. And the last thing that you need to be aware of is patience. Like, you need to be patient. You need to be patient. Celebrate the small victories. Do anything that you can do to improve. You don't have to spend the money if you don't want to. You just need to find something that works for you, or even better, find a combination of the things if you can afford. Find a teacher that you can afford. Find a group of people around your area that are talking in Spanish. Put an ad that you want to do an exchange in Spanish, but always meet in a public place, please. And remember to have fun with it. Find ways to have fun with it in Spanish, and that way you will definitely stick to it. You will enjoy it far more. Find things on the topics that you want to learn about, or the things that interest you. For example, if you are into exercise, find a fitness influencer in Spanish, or a YouTube channel that talks about sports and fitness. That way you are more engaged, you are into the topic, and you are excited to learn in a different way. If you're into makeup, follow a Spanish makeup artist on YouTube, or search for news on the web about that. There's many different ways to learn. Make it tailored to you and what you're interested in. And remember, if Something else you might consider is to get a teacher or a private tutor. You can do this at different times and price points, from classes starting from 30 minutes to an hour, from group classes, etc. That can also help you to speed up your journey in learning Spanish. Even if you just do one session a week or two, it's all worth it. Learning a language is learning a skill, and learning skills is difficult. So celebrate the small wins. If you finally understand something, if you've learned more words, whatever it is, take that victory and celebrate it. Drop me in the comments if you agree with me. If this video was helpful, give me a thumbs up. And again, this video comes out of a recommendation, so if you have any recommendations or any video that you will want me to do in this channel, explaining anything from grammar, showing you culture, whatever it is, let me know. There are other ways to find me on social or email in the box down below, and I will see you on the next video. Hasta pronto!